alongside Jim Monico. Today we have a whole bunch of guests for you today for the Super Bowl pregame show. We're pretty excited to do this, obviously. A big game today, Kansas City Chiefs versus the New England Patriots.
No.
I know, Jim, just for you. Versus the Bucs. Should be a great game. We have a bunch of guests joining us today, Jim. You want to introduce a couple of them, introduce the rest?
Yeah, we got Mark Dewar, Mitchell Dewar, two good local football guys. Mark's been a great volunteer in our system for years, always helping out Sioux Minor and Sabercats. And Mitchell was a great player in Sioux Minor and with the Sabercats, and good high school player at Cora. And unfortunately, Mitchell missed a couple of years, a couple of chances to play football because of COVID, and I'm sure he's not too happy about that, but that's a different topic for a different day. And then we got Jordan Alexander, who was an excellent football player in the Sioux back in his day. We're so old now, Jordan, that I got to say back in your day for you. That's
I know.
I think I coached you. I think I coached you 20 years ago or something like that. But Jordan's joining us from Chatham, and then Bono, you can do the rest of the introductions. I'll leave you Ashton too.
And we got Ashton Young. Ashton and I did a props earlier in the week. Your props. So all of our bets are already out. Ashton, a coach here in Sault Ste. Marie, very active. He played high school, played for the Steelers. So very active and very well here in town. And the man of the hour, obviously, we're extremely lucky to have Ryan Hunter joining us today. Ryan played City Chiefs last year. He owns a Super Bowl ring, which is unbelievable. And we're so fortunate to have you. So thank you so much for this. Ryan now is a member of the Chargers and was Futures deal as well. So congratulations, Ryan, about the last year, what it was like, leaving Kansas City and getting picked by another, what appears to be a pretty decent organization down, and they seem like they're doing some good things. So just talk a little bit about your year and kind of how it was for you.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely was an interesting year, changing teams mid-season. Went through training camp just like everybody else, hoping to make a spot on the team. When it came time, the Chiefs told me that they were basically ready to move on, even though they thought that I still had the abilities to play in the NFL. They were ready to go in a different direction, which most guys in the NFL never play on the same team their whole career. So I understood this is how the business works. So basically did the first two and a half weeks of the season. I was unemployed, just sitting on my couch, hoping for a call, working out 6 times a week, just trying to stay ready. Fortunately, it was kind of weird. Week 2, the Chargers were playing the Chiefs at home, and that's the week that the Chargers gave me the call. And so I ended up flying down. So with COVID going on, you have to sit in the hotel for 5 days and test every single day before you're allowed to do your workout. So I flew out on like a Thursday, had to sit in the hotel till Tuesday when my workout was. Did the workout Tuesday, found out because of injuries that had happened in the game, the practice squad spot that I was competing for was now taken up because of injuries and whatnot. So they flew me back to Kansas City the following day. And I was like, well, I'm not even going to unpack my stuff because if they call again or another team calls, I don't want to have to pack everything again. So ended up being essentially 3 or 4 days later, that following Monday, they called me and said, we're flying you out to LA tomorrow to sign you to the practice squad. So my girlfriend got home from work and I was like, hey, by the way, I'm moving to LA tomorrow. So that was kind of a shocker to her. She wasn't really ready for that, but obviously very excited to work with the Chargers and be on the Chargers. We have a great roster of a lot of talent. And I'm really excited to start the season with our new coach and our new coordinators and kind of see what we can do with who we have. And obviously with Justin just winning Rookie of the Year, I mean, that's a huge accolade. He deserved it. And so I'm excited to see what next year brings for us. Sorry.
I wanted to ask you this too. So, you had the experience being on the active roster last year in Kansas City. Now you're, with a different organization. You're on the practice squad. Can you just
Oh,
And we lost
not good.
Bono.
And we lost Bono.
No.
All right, if you guys
Some-
can finish
some
the
would
question,
think that's good.
I'm pretty sure the question was going to be, what's the difference between being on the active roster and the practice squad? I believe was the question going to be.
So basically, the only really difference is that on game days we don't dress. So in a normal non-COVID year, oh, he's back. All right. So what we assumed the question was going to be is the difference between practice squad and active
Sorry.
roster.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so the only real difference is we're struggling. So the only real difference is that practice squad guys don't dress on game day. In a normal season for away games, most teams don't travel practice squad. But this year with COVID issues, every team traveled, basically all the practice squad players every single week. So when it came time to go to the stadium, the players would go to the locker room and the practice squad guys would go up to their whatever suite they had at that stadium. And so we do all the meetings, we do all the practices, we do all the walkthroughs, all the lifts, basically everything that the active roster guys do. We just get paid a lot less and don't play on Sundays. So that's really the only difference.
Ryan, could you tell everybody where you went to college and how that experience was?
Yeah, sure. So originally I come from North Bay, Ontario.
Yeah.
Grew up there basically my whole life, and then went to Buffalo, New York for my last year as a high school in hopes to get a scholarship, which I was fortunate to get one. And I went to Bowling Green State University in Ohio, which is in the MAC. So I went there for 5 years, and then from there signed as an undrafted free agent with the Chiefs, where I spent my rookie year on practice squad, and then my second year I split between practice squad and active roster, and then I finished on the active roster for the playoffs last year, and then this past year I was with the Chargers since from week 3 or 4 till the end of the season on practice squad.
Now, Ryan, we do a lot of talk on these shows the last few weeks about the recruiting trip and how you end up where you will go and people leaving town to be successful in sports and stuff like that. What led you to go to Buffalo? Did they find you? Did you find them? How exactly did that work for your senior year of high school?
So I ended up going to a couple like recruiting camps in the U.S. when I was in grade 10, kind of like the Nike Spark or NUC camps that they hold that you guys might see other high school guys put highlight films about. And so I'd gone to a couple of those in the U.S. and had some pretty good success. And a lot of the guys in the Toronto area had transferred to this private school conference in Buffalo that I ended up going to. And one of the running backs who ended up playing in the CFL for a couple of years, Mercer Timmis, is from the Hamilton area. He had reached out to me and basically told me his story of how he moved from Hamilton to Buffalo, which is obviously a lot closer than North Bay to Buffalo, but kind of gave me an idea of what it would look like to do that. And so I talked to my parents about it. At first, they thought I was full of crap. They were like, there's no way this is real. And I was like, well, it seems pretty legit. Like the guy goes to the high school there, and I had talked to the coach a little bit. So finally, I got my parents to call the coach and kind of talk about what logistics would look like to move to Buffalo. And so we kind of started talking to the administration and the school president and the coach, and then essentially worked out a scholarship for me to go to Buffalo. So, to anyone who is thinking about doing it to better themselves in life, I think it's the best decision I've ever made. Obviously, North Bay or the Sioux. I mean, the Sioux's known for more football than North Bay is, but as someone who wanted to move forward in life in athletics, I felt that North Bay didn't have enough to offer for me in order to move forward in life with football. So I felt the best decision was to move to Buffalo. It doesn't have to be you have to move countries. It could be you move cities or whatever it may be. You have to travel a couple times a week to play travel hockey, football, soccer, whatever your sport is. But I think obviously the sacrifices paid off, because if I didn't do that, I probably wouldn't be here right now.
That's awesome. I'll ask you one more question, Ryan, then I'll let Ashton ask a question. Did you ever consider, obviously the NFL is your ultimate goal. Did you ever consider the CFL? Were you drafted in the CFL?
Yeah, I was. I definitely considered the CFL, obviously. It's just the way that it works. The NFL draft is before the CFL draft. And so going into both, when I was speaking to CFL teams, I said that I'm going to pursue every NFL opportunity I have before going to the CFL. I ended up getting drafted 9th overall. I was the last pick in the first round to the Toronto Argonauts when I was entering both drafts. And so, I'll continue to play in the NFL for as long as I can. And if at some point no team is interested in signing me anymore, I would definitely go play in the CFL. I think the CFL has a tremendous amount of talent and a lot of great players. I mean, we've seen guys go from the NFL to the CFL, have tremendous careers, and go from the CFL to the NFL and also have tremendous careers. So just because you're playing in a different league, it doesn't mean that, there's not a tremendous amount of talent. All those guys are getting paid to play football just like everybody else. And so there's a reason they're there and they've earned that position. And so whether I continue to play in the NFL for my whole career or if I do some NFL, some CFL, I would definitely play in the CFL.
That's awesome. Okay, Ash, you got any questions?
Not any off the top of my head, other than like maybe the draft prep. So like through your draft preparation, like Bowling Green, how was that from like your last day as the senior to like even being drafted into the CFL?
Yeah. It's a super quick turnaround because our season essentially ends because we didn't make a bowl game. It was like right around American
November.
Thanksgiving. So the end of November, early December was our last game. I had like 2 weeks before I was going to Dallas for NFL scouting camp. So I basically had 2 weeks to kind of recover / try to stay in shape before I went to this 5-day football camp where you essentially did a couple of days of interviews and then 3 days of practices and then a scrimmage at the end. And so I essentially went from a full college football season straight into pro day prep. So after that camp, I probably took another 2 weeks off just to recover because I'd essentially been playing football from August to December. And then I went right into pro day training. Because I was doing my master's in school, I decided to continue I did my pro training at Bowling Green. Our strength coach at the time, Billy Yates, was like an 8 or 10 year NFL pro who had played offensive line for the Patriots and won a Super Bowl. And so I knew he was someone who I could use as a resource to train with. I didn't feel like I needed to go to all these nice fancy training facilities in California or Florida. So I decided to stay in school and to train with our strength and conditioning coach. So I essentially built my own nutrition plan, built my own training program. It was his, but I followed it. And I incorporated some yoga, some stretching, and other like aspects of stuff in the local area to complement my training. And it was kind of weird because he was still the strength coach at Bowling Green, so he had to do all of his main job with him, but he was training me on the side. And so the only time he could train me was 4 a.m. So 6 days a week, my pro day workout started at 4 a.m. And so all my friends who were done playing, were going to the bars 4 days a week, and I was going to bed at 8 o'clock to get up at 3 o'clock so I could start my pro day training. So it really tested to see if I really wanted to do this, but I didn't miss a workout all of the season. I stuck to my diet. I ended up losing like 25 pounds before pro day. I ran great. I felt great, and I think teams noticed. And so it was quite a few couple months, but it's something I'll never forget.
That's awesome. Okay, Jordan, you got a question?
That's one thing, Ryan.
Justin.
Yeah, or just so Ryan, that was one thing, Ryan. Like at our last talk that we had, that really out. Everyone just thinks it's the life of a pro athlete's all butterflies and rainbows. But I remember you talking about those sacrifices that you had to make, and it's admirable. You're right? You sacrifice a lot.
Yeah, I mean, especially from someone who came from a small school who didn't really have that much draft stock. It's easy as someone who's a projected first or second round draft pick to, maybe take a day off or,
Absolutely.
Regardless of what happens with your pro day, you're probably going to get drafted no later than the 3rd or 4th round. But as someone who was a long shot 6th or 7th round draft pick, I had to do everything right in order to prove that I had a shot or a chance to play in the NFL. And so I didn't really have any room to screw up. And so I essentially went those 4 months of only eating fish, chicken, rice, vegetables, and eggs. I didn't go out to eat once. I didn't drink a single beer, which when you're in college is not easy.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of discipline. But once pro day was over, then I kind of gave myself like 2 or 3 weeks where I could relax, have a couple drinks, hang out, be normal. Because once pro day is over, there's really nothing for you to do until the draft. Which is like, depending on if you have an early pro day, it could be 2 months. If you have a late pro day, a month. So it's really kind of just a sit and wait game. You could have different workouts with different teams and stuff in between those times. Like I think I had 2 workouts from the time my pro day was over until the time the draft happened. And so, out of 45 days, I had 2 days where I needed to be in good shape for the coaches or whatever prospects or scouts wanted to come see me. And so I was still working out, but obviously you you get to relax a little bit. You know what I mean? Your work is done until you start with a team.
I see some people are asking about our picks. Our picks are coming up here in about 5 minutes time. So, Jordan, you're up.
So Justin Herbert won the Offensive Rookie of the Year this year. What's it like playing with someone whose future looks so bright in the NFL?
Yeah, I think I've been pretty lucky to have Pat Mahomes and Justin Herbert as my two quarterbacks so far when I'm in the NFL. Definitely fortunate to be with two players who at such a young age have shown so much promise. Justin, I've said this about Pat every time I talk to anybody. He's super quiet, super down to earth. As much as he is that, Justin Herbert is even more quiet and even more down to earth. I mean, I'll never forget this. He bought for Christmas. He bought all the offensive linemen. You could either get like a huge package of like Omaha steaks, or he would get you get a driver or 3-wood custom fit with a lesson. And I chose the driver or the 3-wood because my clubs are getting old. And towards the end of the season, he had texted me trying to figure out an appointment for when I could get the club fitting. And I was like, hey, I'm actually moving back to Kansas City in a week. Once I'm back in LA, we can figure this out. And he goes, oh, dude, I'm so sorry. I didn't ask you about this earlier. And I'm like, why are you apologizing? I've known you for 3 months and you just bought me this incredible gift. Like, don't worry. You got a lot on your plate. Let me figure out when I'm going to do this appointment. Like, the fact that you even got me something at all is like super thoughtful of you. And he, he's someone who works super hard. He takes the losses very tough. He loves this team. He loves this organization, and he wants to succeed. And you can see it in his face in practice. As the season progressed, you could tell as a leader he was getting more vocal because at the start he was kind of timid, because it's tough. You come in as a rookie, you start playing a lot. You're essentially thrust into this leadership role that you don't know if you were really ready for. But as you could see with his play, he was ready to go from the get-go. And so it'll be exciting to see what he can do with our new coaches and our new offensive scheme, since our new offensive coordinator comes from the Saints. Obviously, Drew Brees has had a lot of success there. And so I think, as long as we continue to build off of what we did this past year, there's no reason why him and Pat can't be two of the best quarterbacks, not only in the AFC West, but in the NFL for years to come.
Yep, absolutely. Mitch and
Mitchell, Mark, you guys got some questions?
Yeah, we got a quick one here, guys. Ryan, thanks for coming out on the show. We just want to know, we know that when you're with Kansas City, they basically had a track team, but you being in San Diego, who do you consider the fastest guy on the team?
I would say T. Billy, one of our wide receivers. He started off the year on practice squad, and early on came in, and actually his first game on active roster, he caught, I think it was like a 60 or 70-yard touchdown against the Bucs. He just ran a go route down the sideline, and Justin hit him on a perfect pass, and that was his first completion of his NFL career, was for a 60 or 70-yard pass. So, yeah, it's when you're used to Tyreek Hill and McCole Hardman's speed, everyone obviously gets compared to them because they're seen as two of the fastest in the league. But we had a couple guys on our team that had some pretty good jets as well.
Awesome.
See, Mark's like me; he still calls him San Diego.
Yeah,
awesome.
For sure.
All right.
Ryan, I got a quick question for you.
Yeah.
I said I wouldn't ask.
So do I.
Always do this.
All right, guys.
Are you cheering hard for the Chiefs today, knowing guys and having a little bit of an interest? Are you still? Or are you mad at the organization? What's the deal?
No,
there?
I mean, obviously, you want to be on a team that's successful and winning, but at the same time, they were ready to move on from me, and as a player, you have to be ready to move on as well. For us, we view for us, it's a job, right? If a business or whoever you're working for says we want to move on from you, and you go start a new job, and that business is succeeding, you're obviously happy for them. They gave me 2 years to start my NFL career with them, and so I'm thankful for the Chiefs and everything they gave me to help start my career. I'm going to be cheering for those O linemen hard. I know Mitch and Fish are out, which is tough, but Wiley, Reeder, Allegretti, Remmers, whoever's in there, I've gotten to know them over the last 2 years, and so I'll be very excited to see them play and succeed. But one of my best friends from Bowling Green, Scotty Miller, is a receiver for the Bucs. So, it'd be really cool to see Scotty get his Super Bowl ring the year after I get mine, being college teammates. But at the same time, you're also cheering for some of your friends from the Chiefs to get their second ring. So As a NFL player, you kind of watch games differently. You can't really watch it as a fan. You're really more just dissecting how the offensive line is playing, how they're protecting things, how the defense is adjusting. And so I watch games a lot differently than I used to now that I'm in the NFL, or that I understand how concepts and theories work as far as like coverages and protections and stuff. So I really just am hoping for a good game, and I hope that the Chiefs O-line does well and that Scotty has a good game. So that's what I'm cheering for.
Yeah, and obviously today the Chiefs O-line is a big key to that game, right? They got some. They're banged up, and the front seven of the Bucs is really, really good. They caused a lot of problems last week. So
anyone who's asked me about the game, that's been my answer is, Coach Reed and Coach Arians are two great game planners, and so I know the Chiefs will have a game plan to stop or affect the defensive line of the Buccaneers. The Bucs are going to try to run the ball and control the clock just like they did when Tom Brady was in New England and they played the Chiefs in the AFC Championship 3 years ago. The Chiefs are going to try to, chip or help their tackles with defensive ends because Jason Pierre-Paul is playing extremely well. They got Vitae Vea, I believe is how you pronounce his name, back. Devin White's a great linebacker. They have good players, but at the same time, you have to worry about Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Sammy Watkins, McCole Harmon, Le'Veon. Like, there's all these weapons, but at the same time, you have to be able to protect and run the football. And so it'll be a good chess match to see how the Chiefs game plan against the Bucs defensive line and how the Bucs secondary and linebackers will try to counteract the Chiefs' speed and ability to essentially play with 5 wide receivers every play.
Yeah. Bono, go ahead. What do you want to do next? Okay, Bono's frozen again, so I think.
Unless he's on mute.
So we're gonna.
Someone's phone was going off.
Run it on 240 resolution.
We're gonna get to it. We're gonna get to the picks now. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go around and Ryan. We're gonna finish off with you. What?
Okay, I think we're gonna make our picks. We're gonna go around and finish with Ryan. That's what I
think that's what I got as well.
Mark and Mitchell, let's hear your prediction, a little score, and a little rundown on the game if you can.
Well, I'm going for the Bucs. I want the Bucs to win. I think they're going to win by 3. I don't know. What do you think?
I got Kansas City, probably by 4, and I see Hilaire being the MVP.
Jordan, what do you got?
This man, Tom Brady, is torched. It's dumb to bet against Brady. You got to go with the Bucs.
All right, now I'm going to.
If you don't go with the Bucs, in my opinion, I mean, not that against Mahomes, but I've seen this man torch the Ravens and everything in the AFC for the last 20 years. So you don't bet against Brady. He solidifies his legacy as the GOAT. By 6.
Ash, what do you got for us? I think you're picking that because you picked Washington to beat Tampa, so I got to think you're picking Kansas City today.
If you watch the prop show, I'm still staying with it. 35-21 Chiefs on the under too.
35-21 Chiefs on the under, and
Mahomes escapes the pressure off the edge all day.
That's the key, right? Yeah. Okay, I'll go and then I'll let Ryan go. Anyone that knows me knows I'm a lifelong Patriots fan. I've been a Patriots fan for I'm so old, probably 45 years. I haven't missed. I've seen basically this is the first year that I didn't see every one of Brady's games because he wasn't on the Patriots. So I've pretty much seen every snap of his career. I mean, it's a little funny for me to watch him, and I don't cheer for him the same as I do now. But he's given me a lot of happiness over my life. So it's a tough game to predict, though, because that KC offense is so deadly and so many weapons, and I don't have a strong opinion that I think that the Bucs are going to win. I'm going to lean to the Bucs in a close game. I think it'll be a little lower scoring than people think too. Maybe 28-24, something along those lines. That's my prediction, but I don't have a strong feeling. It's a tough game, and we'll know more once the first quarter starts how this game is going to go. That's my take on it. Ryan, what do you got?
Yeah, people always say never bet against Tom Brady, but at the same time, the Chiefs last year came back from 4 separate playoff games down by double digits or more. So I got to go with the Chiefs. I'm going to go 29-24. That's what I think it'll be. It'll be maybe not as high scoring as like you said. I think at first teams are going to try to feel each other out, see what they're trying to do, and then after that it's up to whatever coach has the best adjustments and can do the best in game changes based off of how each team is trying to counteract their best weapons.
Yeah, I think so too. Ryan, what's your plan for the game? You're gonna have a little food and a couple of beverages, or just?
I do, yeah. I think so, yeah. 2 weekends ago for the AFC NFC Championship, I threw out quite the buffet of food. So this week, I'm going pretty casual with some soft pretzels, cheese sauce, and a couple pizzas. So nice and simple this week since I'm doing this with you guys. But I'm excited to see a good game. Hopefully, all my friends, obviously do well, and it'll be interesting to see a Super Bowl with a lot less fans, a lot less commercials.
Yeah, it will be interesting.
It's a complete 180 from what we're used to seeing. But obviously, it's exciting to be able to complete a full NFL season under COVID. I think it's the only professional sports league that didn't miss a single game all season. I think the NFL, NBA, obviously the MLB obviously missed a bunch of games. And so to be able to complete a full season under these circumstances is pretty impressive.
That's awesome. And Ashton,
Did everyone else
entail? We'll order some food in, have a couple of drinks, or what?
Buffalo chicken dip, we got it, and then we're gonna get some pizzas and stuff.
Pretty casual.
Nothing crazy, yeah. A few drinks.
Yeah, and you, Jordan?
So did everyone do their picks already?
Yeah, except you. We'll get back to you, Bono. Go
ahead. I'm gonna toss a pizza, make a homemade one. Pizza down here doesn't taste the same as it does back home, so I got to do my best to make Mrs. B's pizza. So that's on the menu tonight.
That's good. That's good. And now, what's going on at the Dewar household?
We already ate. We ordered pizza, wings, matzo sticks from Pizza Teca locally. Fantastic.
I heard that. Yeah.
That's about it. Me and Mitch are gonna do some laps before the game, and then we'll be ready to go.
That's awesome. And Bono, you go ahead now. You got some catching up to do. We didn't
I don't know.
And we don't.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on with my internet, so I apologize. But for this game today, my favorite stat that I heard about the Super Bowl and Tom Brady is in Tom Brady's 9 previous starts, his teams have scored 3 points in the first quarter combined. So I do expect Kansas City to come out and take a lead early on, and I think it's going to be Tampa to play from behind. So I like Kansas City winning this game, but I don't think it's going to be as high scoring as everyone thinks. So I'm going to go Kansas City 25, Tampa 21.
And one thing about your stat, though, Bono, is Tom Brady has only played Super Bowls for New England, so it's a little bit of a different thing, right?
That's true. I can't believe that. It's a crazy stat when you think about it. It was 3 points in the first quarter. That is an unbelievable stat. I think he needs to change that. I'm excited for.
I believe it was the first 8 that he had 0 points. I think that the field goal came in the last game, if I'm correct. It's the 8th or 9th.
Yeah.
They got the field goal. Yeah. He hasn't let a touchdown in the Super Bowl yet in the first quarter. Go ahead.
Yeah. Bob. So it's going to be nice. I'm hoping that you can all tune back in. Hopefully my internet issues are taken care of, but we're going to come back at halftime. I have no interest in watching the weekend. So if anybody else wants to tune in at half, we'll come on. We'll just talk a little bit about the game so far, if it's progressing how I think. I'm telling you, I think it's going to be a lower scoring game. I don't think it's going to be 45-35 shootout that people do. I think it's going to be a little more disciplined. So, I tend to be wrong on these things, but whatever. We can talk about it more at halftime. So we look forward to seeing you all there. Thanks so much, Ryan. Really appreciate this, man. It's honestly, it's a pleasure to get to talk to you, and we're so lucky to have you. And you represent Canada well. So if you're not doing anything at halftime, even under the game, we'd love to have you back.
Yeah, I'll be here. I don't get too much human interaction with this whole social distancing, so it's nice to talk to people.
That's amazing. All right, guys. So we'll see everybody back at halftime, and we'll do some chatting then. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right, boys.
Thanks,
See you
Ryan.
later.